Hello then, thank you for staying with us. This is Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Onwachuku. Welcome to the World News. These are the top stories. PDP crisis deepens as National Working Committee divides into two factions, dish out suspensions. Court issues fresh summon to ex-Kogi Governor Yahaya Bello. Court rejects fresh bill application by Sikh Binance executive Tigran Gambarian. Chief Judge declines Justice Nyako's recusal in Nnamdi Kanu's trial. Details now. Welcome and thank you for staying with us. We'll begin the news with the leadership rocking the main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, which escalated this morning with the division of the party's National Working Committee. You'll recall that Nigerians woke up to the news of the creation of two factions within the party's leadership. The crisis rocking the PDP, which started after the presidential primary polls of the party ahead of the 2023 election, has now resulted in suspension and counter-suspension of its leaders. A faction of the People's Democratic Party, loyal to the acting national chairman Umar Damagum, had in a statement this morning announced the suspension of its national publicity secretary Debo Ologunagba and national legal advisor Kamaldeen Ajibade, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria. The PDP National Director of Publicity Chinwen Norom made this known in a statement issued in the early hours of today. Norom explained that the party has established a committee led by Deputy National Chairman South Taufik Arapaja to investigate the concerns raised against the officers in accordance with the party's constitution. But in a swift reaction, the faction led by Ajibade suspended Damagum and National Secretary Samuel Anyanwu over allegations of disloyalty to the party. Ologunagba issued a statement today declaring that both Damagum and Anyanwu would also be suspended from their positions. Now, the Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja has issued a fresh summon to the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. The embattled former governor has been ordered to appear before the court on November 14, 2024 in connection with allegations of criminal breach of trust and possession of property acquired unlawfully. The order issued by Justice Marian E. Aneni claims that Bello engaged in these offences between the years 2016 and 2023. Dated October 3, 2024, the order was disclosed in a post on Friday on the X handle of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC. Court documents indicate that Bello is accused of breaching Section 311 of the Penal Code Law, Cap 89, Laws of Northern Nigeria, 1963, which pertains to criminal breach of trust and carries penalties under Section 312. The EFCC had earlier announced that the ex-governor was wanted. Lately, the commission has brought new allegations against the ex-governor, claiming he is responsible for a fraud of 110 billion naira. And still on court matters, a bill application by the detained Binance executive Tigran Gambarian was rejected today by the Federal High Court in Abuja. The bill was rejected by Justice Emeka Nwite, who presided over the case. Now, on September 4, 2024, if you will recall, the Federal High Court in Abuja heard arguments regarding Gambarian's new bill application between his lawyer, Mark Mordi, a senior advocate of Nigeria, and counsel for the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ekele Iheanacho. It also, you would recall, that Mordi applied for the court to admit his client to bail on liberal terms, or alternatively, to admit him to bail for 6 weeks on the basis of ill health. He submitted that his client is managing serious health challenges that cannot be adequately managed in Nigeria. The lawyer presented exhibits before the court, including medical reports showing his client needs medical care and strongly recommended surgery. Gambaria's family also submitted that he can no longer work due to a health condition involving a disc issue. However, the EFCC contested these claims. The anti-graft agency presented a medical report as an exhibit before the court from the State House Annex Clinic in Asokoro, Abuja, in which it claimed that the detained Binance executive Tigran Gambarian refused prescribed medications and food when attended by a neurosurgeon in July 2024. Delivering judgment on the bail application earlier today, Justice Nwite held that it is not in dispute that Gambarian's first bail application, which concerns health, has been appealed. Nwite stated that the current bail application amounts to an abuse of court process because Gambarian has a pending appeal against the refusal of the first bail. He added that there are no new facts regarding medical care in the fresh bail application, as the EFCC has shown that Nigerian authorities and hospitals are capable of treating Gambarian. He said that since an appeal has been filed, a lawyer is restrained from relitigating, especially having not withdrawn that appeal. Now, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Tosho, has reportedly declined Justice Binta Nyako's request to step down from presiding over the trial of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Justice Tosho has instructed that the case be returned to Justice Binta Nyako, deeming her the best fit to continue overseeing the proceedings. Now, a reliable source who chose to remain anonymous informed Daily Post, an online news platform, about the decision today, revealing several reasons behind the Chief Judge's choice. According to this source, Justice Tosho's refusal to reassign the case was based on key considerations. One, that two other judges were previously recused from the case, that the case has lingered for too long from 2015. Number three, that the case has blended most with Justice Binta, thus making her the most suited or best placed judge to handle and conclude the case. However, the Chief Judge has also directed that if at the next hearing of the case, Nnamdi Kanu still insists on recusing Binta Nyako, he must file a written motion with an affidavit stating all the grounds for requesting the recusal. You'll recall that Justice Nyako recently withdrew herself from the case after Kanu openly expressed doubts regarding her ability to impartially handle his trial, citing a lack of confidence in her judgment. You're currently listening to The World News at 12 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. And of course, it's time for a news analysis segment. And I have right here in the studio, Barrister Darlington Agumo, who is a political, national and social affairs commentator. Barrister Darlington, good afternoon and welcome to The World News at 12.
Good afternoon, Esther. How are you?
I am fine. Let's start up with this particular controversial case. You know that the news today has been riddled with all court cases. Apparently, most of the cases were held simultaneously earlier today because we've been hearing the rulings from all the court judgments. Now, let's look at the case of Nnamdi Kanu. The Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Tosho, has reportedly declined Binta Nyako's, recusal from his case. Now, he gave three valid reasons as to why he is reassigning Justice Nyako back to Nnamdi Kanu's case. He said that two other judges, right, have been previously recused from the case. That is, the first two judges who were handling Nnamdi Kanu's case, they've recused themselves. And that the case has lingered for too long, meaning that the case has been in court since 2015. And that the case mostly pended with Justice Binta Nyako, meaning that for the longest time, she's been the one handling the case. So she understands the case better than any other judge who may have to come in. Because if a judge comes in now, the judge may want to start afresh and they'll start postponing and, assigning new dates. Now, the judge now said that if Justice Binta Nyako comes back to the case and Nnamdi Kanu still deems her unfit or deems her biased in continuing with the case, he needs to sign an affidavit on the grounds of requesting that recusal. What do you think this means? What's going to happen now?
Thank you, Esther. It is the right of everybody that is standing trial to be comfortable with the trial court or judge.
All right.
But if in the course of this trial you discover that you may not get fair hearing from this judge or this court, you can ask for the judge to excuse herself or himself from the matter.
But what Justice John Tosho is saying is that there have been 2 other judges that have recused themselves from this case. The second thing he said is that the case has lingered for so long since 2015. Now, what a lot of critical, logical thinkers will be like, if this case has lingered for so long, is it Nnamdi Kanu's fault that the case has lingered for this long? So what exactly is wrong that they've not been able to surmise and conclude his case?
It is very obvious. It's like the federal government is shopping for evidence against Nnamdi Kanu.
They're shopping for evidence since 2015?
Yes.
You want to tell me that you detain somebody, you incarcerate somebody, and you don't have strong evidence to take that person to trial?
That is the modus operandi when you don't have a strong evidence against a suspect or a defendant.
Barrister Darlington, who was the first Attorney General of the Federation that took this case to the court? Was it not the former Minister of Justice, Malami?
Amalami, of course, he was part of those who renditioned him from Kenya.
What were the strong points? What was the locus standi for his incarceration?
Good. It was because that rendition, the people that went for him in Kenya, they didn't even know the crime they have committed themselves. It was when the court now said that, look, you people committed offense against this young man. That what you did was an international crime against him. And that we don't even have a law to try Nnamdi Kanu for what you are saying.
Okay.
And it was when the court now, because jurisdiction is very important when you are going for this type of trial.
Exactly.
When they now realize that the offense you have charged this man for was committed in London. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes.
And they now realize that if they move on with this case, they cannot succeed. So they remove London. If you have not removed London, so what are you now going to try Nnamdi Kanu for? Esther, that is the crux of the matter. Except they can be able to resolve that jurisdiction. They cannot, they can't get Nnamdi Kanu anywhere. And so when the court now explained this to the prosecutors, they became now ashamed. They don't know whether to return Nnamdi Kanu to Kenya or to free him or to continue with the case. That is the quagmire they are in. Because it was the court that told them this. So based on that fact now, the federal government are looking for any other thing. Maybe they are looking for Nnamdi Kanu to commit one thing in prison or the other. They will now say, okay, since you are in prison, look at what you have done in prison. That is the reason why this detention has prolonged for this long. And the other 2 judges that exclude themselves from this, did you see the reason why Nnamdi Kanu gave? That they are biased. And it's because these judges knew. That was why they excused themselves. So if Justice Tosho is now saying that Nnamdi Kanu should not write and give affidavit, and the other 2 judges that excused themselves, did he follow the same procedure?
Barrister Darlington, in 2022, Nnamdi Kanu was renditioned in 2021.
Yes.
In 2022, Nnamdi Kanu actually requested from the DSS for an oral testimony as to his deteriorating health condition.
Yes.
At that time, he was requesting to be taken out of the DSS custody to possibly Kirikiri or any other correctional center while his case continues in court. Now, the DSS rejected that particular request. The DSS rejected Nnamdi Kanu's request for oral evidence from the DSS.
Yes.
On several occasions, there have been impediments as to how this case can continue. The first one being the fact that they have alluded that he was the one responsible for the conflict in the Southeast. Thereby, it was important for them to continue to his detainment to curtail the upheaval in the Southeast. But as it stands now, the fact that he is still incarcerated, it has not ameliorated the security challenges in the Southeast. If that is the case, why have they not accelerated his hearing since 2015? Now, Justice John Soho Tosho is saying now that possibly because it has taken too long, that Binta Nyako is in the best position to handle it. When this case got to the Supreme Court, why was it taken back to the Federal High Court? Why did the court eventually ask the Attorney General of the Federation to refile? That they didn't go about it in the first instance. So whose fault is it that it has lingered for this long?
It is the fault of the federal government. I told you here they are shopping for evidence against Nnamdi Kanu. All these things that they are saying up and down, it is not strong enough to convict Nnamdi Kanu. It's not possible. Even the Supreme Court was against how they now, withdrew Nnamdi Kanu's bail. The Supreme Court said that it was wrong for them to have withdrawn his bail after hearing all the argument on both sides. And that was why the Supreme Court said they should go back. And that Nnamdi Kanu should even sue the federal government. He should institute a civil suit against the federal government. And this is in public domain.
The last time Nnamdi Kanu appeared in court, he categorically stated that no court in Nigeria can try him.
Of course.
Under what premise was he making that pronouncement?
Because the particular evidence which they have brought against Nnamdi Kanu about jurisdiction had been nullified. That was why they withdrew it in their charge. Because for you to say that where did he commit this offense? That is very important in this type of trial. You cannot say that somebody. So where did you see this property? It's a criminal charge. I hope you know. You cannot say that. Where did you commit this offense? It is very important. If you cannot identify where the offense was committed, then what are you doing? What are you trying? That is the problem here. The federal government know that no matter how they detain Nnamdi Kanu, they cannot wriggle out of that. And they do not come and say, okay, Nnamdi Kanu, go home, just like they did for Showore. They can't do that. After they have messed up everything, they are afraid that Nnamdi Kanu may institute a case against them for renditioning him from Kenya. Are you getting it now? These are the quagmire the federal government are in now. And that is why they are finding it difficult to even look. All this thing about Nnamdi Kanu is looking for a judge or not that. My dear, it is not necessary. I have a precedent here. Tompolo, government Tompolo.
Exactly.
Was tried in absentia and sentenced. He didn't appear in court for 1 day.
And nothing happened.
I'm telling you, the federal government tried him in absentia and he was sentenced. Unfortunately, that same man is doing contract for the federal government today. Esther, how do you justify all this thing for God's sake? How do you? I'm talking of those who have held arms against the federal government. Arms.
Serious arms.
So,
we even have persons who are like non-state actors. We have Asari Dokubo telling us he has men, he has RPGs. He said it openly via his social media account, and nobody has called him to question. Nobody has asked where his facility is, where he's storing those RPGs.
The one I discussed yesterday on my program was this one about terrorists who were rehabilitated into our military, running away with the gun they gave them a motorcycle. Esther, can you define this in any form or shape? That they told us yesterday that they have sworn with the Quran, they have been de-radicalized, they are that, they are this, they are born again.
Now they've reintegrated them.
Yes, they ran away with the guns, Esther, guns purchased with our taxpayers' money and motorcycle. What was their reason? They said what they told them before they joined them is not what they are hearing. So what was the promise made to them? I'm talking of terrorists. Terrorists.
So, Barrister Darlington, in this particular matter now, since Justice John Soho has, asked that Justice Binta Nyako comes back to that particular case, what if she declines to come back? What then happens?
The choice is hers.
The choice is hers?
Yes.
In this particular instance,
yes.
Initially she was not the one who asked to recuse herself. It was Nnamdi Kanu who boldly stated in the court that he doesn't trust her judgment, right? Now, and of course, he ruled out certain factors as to why he doesn't trust her presiding over his case. And she said, if that is what you want, I would step down. But do you think that she's going to obey this chief judge of the Federal High Court order to return to Nnamdi Kanu's case?
In fact, Nnamdi Kanu and his lawyers, they already have something to hold on to.
And what is that?
Good. This particular judge initially suggested that they should go and seek for political solution to this problem.
Yes.
For a judge to say that, it means that she had looked at this case and see that it's not going anywhere. That is the first thing everybody should know. If she know that this matter, that is a strong evidence against Nnamdi Kanu, she wouldn't have made that suggestion.
Okay, Barrister.
Now, listen.
Okay.
Now, before this time, a certain Amadi was on air, everywhere, on social media. He revealed that this same judge told him that this
Sam
matter,
Amadi,
that this matter is not going anywhere because the federal government cannot succeed in their charge against Nnamdi Kanu. Up till now, nobody has come to say it's a lie. Up till now. So on what basis will this judge continue? Already there is this moral burden now on her. Yes. There's nothing she will do about that case after all this evidence. I'm telling you, there's nothing she will do about this matter. After this, there is nothing.
Barrister Darlington, let me bring your mind back. You will recall that when the same judge had requested that Nnamdi Kanu and the federal government or the Attorney General of the Federation try to come through what you call a truce, a political truce. I remember at the time, the rancor was the fact that Nnamdi Kanu never said that he wants to have a possible conversation or negotiation with the federal government. Do you think that maybe his legal team did not approach the Attorney General of the Federation? Because I remember that time, what was in the news was Nnamdi Kanu can never go and meet the federal government because he has done nothing wrong or whatever. Is it about pride now or ego? Because if his team did not reach out to the Attorney General of the Federation, or possibly his team is waiting for the Attorney General of the Federation to reach out to him and that did not happen, is this why we're seeing this case being prolonged?
No, don't look for something that is not missing.
Okay.
The Kanu's team, legal team, they have approached the Attorney General.
Okay.
We also it. Nyako compiled all the judgment in favor of Nnamdi Kanu, 9 of them, and he had taken it to the man. Even some lawmakers headed by Abaribe,
yes,
they have gone to meet the Attorney General, and the man promised them that they will look into it. Okay. And that was after that suggestion by the judge.
Yes.
So what else are they delaying? Okay, did they offer Nnamdi Kanu anything and he said no, I don't want?
Maybe there are some. Do you think there are some conditions that he doesn't want to abide by in the conversation they're having?
Please, I told you, don't look for something that's not missing. We have not had anything from the federal government that Nnamdi Kanu refused, or anything that was suggested to IPOB people and the IPOB elder, and they said no, we don't want this. Nothing was faced from the federal government. When Showere was released, was there any condition? They just entered the knowledge prosecute, and the man was let off the hook, discharged and acquitted. So what is delaying Nnamdi Kanu's case? Since you know you cannot win this case against him, why are you delaying the matter?
That's a very big question.
Yes.
What exactly is delaying this case?
I'm telling you.
Why the back and forth?
Yes.
Why the back and forth? If they have evidences against him, why don't you present it and accelerate the trial?
What are you telling me? That we have 2 other cases. Dasuki, until today.
Sambo Dasuki.
Did you see him in court? Until they asked him to go.
Exactly.
Al Mustafa.
Darius Ishaku too.
All of them. They have been let go. So what is delaying Nnamdi Kanu's case? So anybody who is telling you that Nnamdi Kanu refused is a lie. We have not had anything from the federal government.
All right, Barrister.
They believe that when they break Nnamdi Kanu's spirit in detention, maybe he will now do one thing or the other. They will now hold something against him. They are working towards an answer. They are working because everybody have told them release this man before the inevitable happens. Because if something happened to this man, please, how will the federal government defend it? Remember that the United Nations have written concerning Nnamdi Kanu in this matter. United Nations
on several occasions.
Yes, US and UK have waded into this matter, yet they remain adamant. What do you think is going on here? If there is a strong, nobody will even intervene in Nnamdi Kanu's case. Nobody will support a terrorist anywhere in the world. But look at how they are pampering those in the north. Esther, just imagine. The whole world is watching what is going on.
So you're saying that there is a geographical preference in this case?
Is it not obvious? Is it not obvious? What else are we talking about here? All these things that they are throwing up, all these legal shenanigans, it will not help this case. It will not. They believe that when they keep it Nnamdi Kanu, maybe the agitation will stop. Esther, has it stopped?
No.
Has it stopped?
No.
That will tell you that there is 1,001 Nnamdi Kanu waiting to take over from him. And it may not be as quiet as it is now.
All right, Barrister, let's look at the All Progressives Congress candidate in the 2023 Rivers State governorship election, Nyako. He has raised concerns about the precarious political situation faced by Governor Sim Fubara. Now, you know, just yesterday, he actually said it via a Monitor television program that Fubara could potentially face impeachment due to the unfolding political crisis. And it's coming in the wake of recent Court of Appeal judgment that upheld a federal high court ruling voiding the presentation and passage of the 2024 budget for Rivers State. You saw yesterday what the judge actually gave, the conclusion it gave concerning the situation in Rivers State and the 27 defected lawmakers. They are saying that the presentation of the budget that Fubara did to those 4 lawmakers is unconstitutional and there was no legal representation to that fact. Meanwhile, the budget of 2024 in Rivers has already been approved. The money is already being spent, 800 billion naira. So if this particular judge or this case as it is now has supposedly legalized the presence of those defected APC or PDP lawmakers, whichever way you want to look at it, are we now trying to say that if they sit, there is a tendency that they will call for an impeachment?
Who is going to sit? A defected lawmaker?
Well, you can hear what the court said yesterday.
No, you see, Esther, please, there are some judgments that even you that gave the judgment, you know that it will not be implementable. You just said it. How can somebody recall a budget that has 2 months to expire? Esther, how can that happen, for God's sake? I was thinking that somebody will say, okay, yes, it's possible. You recall all the money, all the appropriation, all the money, all the allowances, all the contractors you are giving money. You will recall all of them or what? Please, how would that happen? Maybe I don't know what I'm saying, no. I was waiting for somebody to tell me. Because this judgment is tainted with bias. That was not even what they asked for. They are talking of the defected lawmakers. You now went as far as the budget that you know that is about to expire. How can it be implemented here now? How can? It's not possible. The Amawele faction that you say is now the speaker.
Yes.
On what ground? Esther, remember, the issue is the defected lawmakers. What is their stand now?
Exactly.
Are they in PDP or in APC? The judge, nobody has put their mouth in that matter.
So why is the judge saying that he needs to represent that budget to 31 State House of Assembly lawmakers?
Good.
Who will constitute those 31?
Please.
Because INEC has been asked not to conduct a fresh election because their seats have not been declared vacant.
Can you just imagine, my sister? Can you imagine? You can see what these people are messing up with every one of us. It's like there is nobody in Nigeria again to intervene.
Do you think that the people of Rivers are the ultimate losers in this particular political quagmire, and that the development in that state may become stagnant because of the whole situation ongoing?
No, governance will not suffer.
You think so?
No, Fubara should move ahead.
Move ahead?
Yes, or the higher they could do now is to appeal while governance continues. Because I know all this thing is just to what? To delay progress in Rivers. It is left for the governor to say no. By the way, if you want to obey this court, how will you do it? How will you start? That's the question.
Exactly.
How will you start? Do you know that this is not possible? I was thinking that the judge would have looked at all the issues surrounding this matter and then begin to see from the beginning. You take the first thing out. This lawmaker, where did they belong?
Exactly.
You have not sorted that out, and you say you should return to who? To the lawmaker that have defected. That we don't know their position now. I mean, look at it yourself now. Is it possible? It's not possible. So this part of judgment is bias. Everybody have said it. Even the people that gave this judgment in their favor, they are even confused. Esther, they are confused.
Are you sure they are confused?
They are not. In fact, they are confused because they themselves they know that they have committed. They are just watching. Somebody is playing a music that they are dancing. They know. Because these lawmakers have not come out willingly to state where they belong now. Remember that initially when this thing happened, there was no issue. Until somebody went to court.
Yes.
And said they should go back. This is the only time I'm hearing that a judge is giving somebody prayer that he did not ask for. Esther, this is unheard of. This is the only court, the only judge that has become Father Christmas. No lawyer gets anything he did not ask for from any court.
But don't you think this political battle is affecting the poor man in that state? Development needs to continue. If the state is politically tensed, how will they progress? How will development be accelerated? At this moment, there will be a paucity in how Fubara spends money now. The 800 billion naira budget that possibly has been allocated to the state, and with this recent court judgment, if there is any developmental stride or any financial allocation for any project in the state, don't you think that will stall that process?
No, the court did not say that Fubara should stop spending money. There was no specific declaration. No,
all right.
They didn't tell Fubara, do not spend 1 naira of River State money henceforth. There was no judgment to that effect.
To that effect.
Yes, so nobody should go there. You only say he should reintroduce a budget. It is left for them to go to appeal and tell them the unworkability of that judgment. It cannot work. They should go to appeal and let the court know. Then if there is any suggestion, the court should bring it up.
But the judge in his summon, in his statement or his conviction said that Fubara is displaying dictatorial tendencies, dictatorial form of leadership, and that it's a joke taken too far. In other words, he accused Fubara of not obeying court orders and actually being unconstitutional in his practices.
Esther, remember that when these people defected, the budget had not been passed.
Yes.
Are you telling me that the Fubara should just sit down in the office and wait until these people have finished with their shenanigans, and then governance will be stored in River State? Look at how long ago. Look at how long this. So all this while, you mean Fubara should have just sat down as a governor without doing anything because some people decided on their own to stall development in rivers? It's not possible. As long as he has been elected legitimately, he is supposed to move the state forward. That is what I'm saying. Nobody should stop governance in river for whatever reason. It's not possible. If these people know what they are doing, they should have dispensed with that case for now. Remember that case is still pending.
Yes.
Meanwhile, they are asking him to go and introduce budget. Can you just imagine? Look at the contradiction. Whom are you going to introduce the budget to? The court did not look at it that way. They just say, go and introduce the budget. To who? The court should have been specific now. Let us know who will now take over. Because these people have defected. And the court has made it clear that even if the two people that are there, that the governor had the right to present the budget before them. And that's what the governor did. So what's the problem here? These people have left. And the section 109 is very clear on this matter. I don't know how long we are going to reiterate this and say it. Look, when somebody wants to hang a dog, he must look for a burden to give it. So Fubara is not the problem and not wicked.
Basically, with how the judge described the scenario yesterday, that's what he implicated. That was how he referenced the case.
Even a layman knows that this thing is wrong. A layman who doesn't know anything about law will tell you that this particular judgment is tainted with bias. I'm telling you, you left the real culprit, and you are now challenging the man who is now making an allegation. Can you imagine? So we can have no hand in this matter. He has no hand. Are you telling me this?
All right, Barrister Darlington,
it's so sad. It's so sad, seriously.
We've actually run out of time. Thank you so much for coming on the World News at 12. We'll still have matters coming up today, precisely at 1:20 p.m. I'll be taking over from Ikami Jude. I'll be actually handling Ikami Jude's show on matters. And of course, we'll look into further details on some of the scenarios going on within the Nigerian polity, the fuel price increment, how it's affecting a lot of people. And obviously, in that particular program, you can make phone calls and we get to hear from you. Barrister Darlington, thank you so much. We'll definitely be here again for matters, right?
Thank you, Esther.
Thank you so much. To wrap up here again are the top stories. You heard that the People's Democratic Party crisis deepens as National Working Committee divides into two factions, dish out suspensions. Court issues fresh summon to ex-Kogi Governor Yahaya Bello. Court rejects fresh bill application by Sikh Binance executive Tigran Gambarian. And Chief Judge declines Justice Abinta Nyako's recusal in Nnamdi Kanu's trial. That's a wrap on the World News at 12. My name is Esther Mwachuku. Good afternoon. Thank you for listening. Up next is Matters. Do make sure you stay tuned to VOP9.